all that bullshit about hospitals being used as command and control centers is just another false justification by the Israelis and the international community, their friends behind, to say that their assault on the hospital is justified. They are not. And even if there were fighters inside, the rules of war prohibit what they're doing. He refused to do it. That's why they kept him for 7 months and tortured him.
Shame! Shame!
The other doctor I wanted to mention is Dr. Elad Al-Rantisi, head of maternity services at Kamal Adwan, same hospital as Dr. Abu Sofia. Detained late last year, murdered within a week, within 7 days.
Shame!
They kept it secret for 7 months. Nobody knew what happened to him. And then there was an article in Haaretz, the Israeli press. That's how the family found out about it.
Shame!
This is what they are doing to healthcare workers, comrades. These are the crimes, the war crime after war crime after war crime. Now, what have our medical professionals here in this country said? The organized professionals. Almost nothing. They've been zipped. Shame on them. What is to stop them from speaking out? These are their colleagues, fellow doctors, fellow nurses, fellow radiographers, physios, you name it, all grades of healthcare workers. They have said nothing.
Shame!
They are so frightened of the Zionist lobby, so frightened of putting their heads above the parapet and saying stop in the name of humanity, in the name of decency, in the name of medical science, whatever justification, whatever reason. Speak up. For God's sake, if not now, when are you going to speak up?
That's right!
So, comrades, I say to you, talk to any medical professional that you know. If you are a medic, a healthcare worker, demand from your healthcare organization, from your union, to speak out. Now is the time. We cannot allow this to be normalized. This is what they're trying to do. This is what they are trying to do, to normalize genocide. The next war will start from where this one ends up.
That's right.
Carpet bombing, murdering civilians, destroying hospitals, schools, all infrastructure, and murdering the public servants like healthcare workers.
Shame.
So, comrades, thanks again for coming. And we know that Palestine will be free.
May I ask people here at the center to please step 2, 3 steps back, please, just to make a wider empty circle there in the middle, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Our next speaker is Barnard, a health worker at St George's Hospital.
Thank you so much for coming out in such numbers at such short notice tonight. Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
As you will notice that the American flag is flying at half-mast today. Why? It's flying because Jimmy Carter died.
Dog of war.
Wasn't flying at half-mast when tens of thousands of Palestinians were being murdered, was it?
Shame.
Shame. Now, the genocidal geriatric in chief who runs America at the moment gave a speech lauding Jimmy Carter today. And given what we've had since, perhaps we should laud Jimmy Carter and what's coming towards us. What he didn't mention was that in 2006, Jimmy Carter published a book called Palestine, Peace or Apartheid. Peace or Apartheid. That was 2006. And since that time, dear old Jimmy Carter's been harangued by the Zionists for being anti-Semitic. Yeah. So I just want to talk a little bit about the latest atrocity about in terms of healthcare workers. As has already been said, we have seen over 1,000 healthcare workers murdered and 1,000 healthcare facilities, attacks on healthcare facilities. Now, in the recent atrocity, they were given 15 minutes notice to close down the hospital, to abandon. Shame, shame, shame. Then, as the men were herded out, they had to strip down to their underwear. Shame, shame. In the freezing cold. Then the men were marched miles to a checkpoint where on their bodies were written numbers. On their bodies were written numbers, on their chests was written a number, on their necks were written a number. Does that remind you of anything? Shame! Shame! And then the women had to walk to the checkpoint where they were harangued and dragged and were forced to strip to be searched and take their headscarves off. Shame! Shame! And as they were held in that detention centre, one nurse reported the horror of hearing her colleagues, her fellow nurses, doctors, paramedics who work in the hospitals being abused and tortured. Shame! Shame! So these are our healthcare workers. The healthcare workers I work with at St. George's are absolutely no different to the healthcare workers who work in Gaza. They are my colleagues. They have faced, they are doing their work malnourished, starving. Most of them have also had many family members murdered. They're homeless. They've been reported by, in terms of President Biden 2 months ago. President Biden was written to from 99 physicians and doctors who'd worked in Gaza in the last year, pleading with him to call a ceasefire. And those doctors said that the healthcare workers were perhaps the most traumatized people in Gaza, perhaps the most traumatized people in the world at this moment. Shame! Shame! Where is the humanity? Where is the humanity? Someone on the chat today, the camp chat, and what I would say is great to see you come today. How many people is this the first time visiting the camp? Put your hands up. All good, so quite a lot of regulars. Good. Come back and keep coming back because it's so important that this message from the camp, which is this is your genocide, USA. They're not enablers. This is their genocide. As has been said, the president could lift up the phone tomorrow and stop the murders. Did you ever believe in your lifetime that you would have to chant on the streets, stop killing babies? Never. Did you ever? Shame. Did you ever imagine in your lifetime that you would have to chant on the street, stop killing journalists? Shame. Did you ever imagine in your lifetime that you would have to chant on the street, stop murdering healthcare workers? Someone on our chat wrote today, and I thought I'd share it with you. It's a quote from someone, I don't know where it's from. It said, when you can feel your own pain, it means you are alive. But when you can feel another's pain, it means you are human. And this is what we must do. This is what we must do. Because this is a fight for the freedom of the Palestinians, but as much it is the fight for our humanity, the spirit of our humanity, the soul of our humanity, and the heart of our humanity. So keep coming out and protesting. Thank you.
Just to say, you can follow us on social media at CC4 That's Community Camp for Palestine. The 24/7 camp, been here 4 months with no intention of going anywhere. Thank you, Bernard. Next, we're going to invite Habib, also a doctor from Healthcare Workers for Palestine, to speak next.
Hello, everyone. I'll start with a slight disagreement with Comrade Bernard, if you don't mind. I will say that the healthcare workers in Gaza are the best of us. They are far better than our colleagues. And it's not just because of their bravery, but it's also because of the relative silence amongst UK health workers. How many doctors do you see coming and speaking out against the genocide in Gaza? Is your GP doing this? Are any of the doctors you see in hospitals doing this? And I'll put it to you that one thing we should all start doing is making demands on our doctors. That when you see a doctor, when you meet a doctor, you should say, "Oh, and doctor, may I ask what you're doing to stop the genocide in Palestine?"
Can I say something? I did that, and I got a psychiatric referral behind my back, which is the weaponization of psychiatry.
I fully agree, and we should all be doing. That's why we should all be doing it.
I'm taking legal action.
That's why we should all be doing it. In the same way that Rehana Ali, the neurologist who's now being sanctioned by the GMC, she's likely to come away clean. I think, looking at the details, and she will make it safer for everyone else and make it much easier for everyone else to speak out against the genocide. Doctors have privilege, and doctors should be held to account for the fact that they are there to protect human life, not just British lives.
Yes!
It is unacceptable for doctors to be doing nothing while a Holocaust goes on. They can wax lyrical about the reflection they have had on the medical experimentation that went on in Nazi Germany and in occupied China, and all the subsequent declarations that are made, which frankly most doctors just ignore anyway. The hypocrisy is really unacceptable, and it's up to all of us to be holding our medical profession to account. Seriously, Jonathan is an exceptional case. Most doctors are not like that. Now, there is a US organization called Doctors Against Genocide that is putting out a call that on the 6th of January, it's not just for doctors, but people should be calling in sick on the 6th of January because the constant onslaught of horror that we have been subjected to is making us sick also.
Yes!
And I would encourage anyone to take a look at that. I'm not saying you should do it, but to go read about it. Because we need to make it very clear that if this continues, we will bring the entire country down.
Yes.
The country cannot run without, people used to call it proletariat, you can call it the masses or the working class. And I agree, there's no reason why we should not be working towards a general strike for this.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So I would encourage all of us to be really making demands on our medical profession first and foremost. Just tonight, I met a porter who has come here from a big London hospital. Now, I am pretty confident that none of the doctors from that hospital are here. None of the porters, the cleaners who work in Gaza have been remembered. It's up to us to be memorializing all of those people, not just the doctors and the nurses. Please scream! Please scream!
One,
We are the people.
two,
We won't be silent.
three,
We are the people.
two,
We won't be silent. Thank you, Habib. I'd just like to add to what Habib was saying, the irony of this country. Of course, we're all going to get sick with war criminals at the helm. But just to add to that, we know that many medical professionals, doctors, are being hauled before the General Medical Council, the British regulatory body in the UK. Doctors who are expressing solidarity and support with the Palestinian people. So not only are not enough medical workers coming out in support, those who are subsequently being targeted by the regulatory body. I'd like to invite now Nadia to come and give a quick speech. We're going to keep these short. We've got about 3 more people. Nadia is an anti-racism campaigner.
Hi everyone. I just want to start with free.
Palestine!
Free.
Palestine!
Free.
Palestine!
Thank you everyone. No, it's so emotional, isn't it? Every day we're seeing what's happening before our eyes. Somehow we feel complicit too. All because our UK government keeps lying. The US government keeps lying. Shame on you!
Shame on you! Shame on you!
Stop the army in support of Israel. Israel is committing genocide against the Palestinian people armed by the UK government and the US government. Shame on you both. Shame on Germany. You have taken respective states down in history for funding heinous and evil acts of murder and starvation. Again.
Shame.
If they don't want peace, then we disturb your peace.
That's right.
Point up and hit them where it hurts.
Yes.
We step it up with boycotts and raising awareness of Palestine. For instance, Palantir. Now, I'm sure those that, especially that work in the NHS, know about Palantir. We want to we need to stop them from supporting the genocide and aiding and abetting Israel. Target Palantir, the database used now by the NHS thanks to Zionist supporting health ministers, both under the previous government and the current government. Shame on you, West Streeting. Palantir is an American software company that has been awarded £330 million of our money by the NHS last year to create a new data system that is basically surveillancing us. Our public health system is forced into a company profiting from death and destruction and war. Every time the UK government lies, more Palestinians are murdered. The Palantir say access to our data can be a matter of life and death, yet deliberately separating themselves from aiding and abetting a violent oppression that stops Palestinians whose right to health and right to life has been bludgeoned. Shame on the UK government. Shame on you, Streeting. If you wanted to cancel this contract, you can make it happen, but you choose to profit from lives. And I want to put a special message to all the educators that are out there, who are working in schools, who are working in colleges, who are working in universities. Do not be afraid. Find your allies. They are there. Come together. Find your ways in the schools. You can talk about stories in a really, even if it's in a gentle way, you can talk about Palestine. You can talk about the genocide. Talk to the children, talk to young people, and get them to empathize about what it must be like being their age in Palestine. There was always we need to talk about Palestine and the impact and the consequences of war on children and young people their age. We need to resist in our own way and build a global resistance. the capacity and understanding of those around us. And be careful, we will see more organizations coming into schools that will try to continue to inform narratives that scare people from criticizing is not real. Pressure your unions to continue to push back and name and shame those that do, including those solutions, not sides. Surveillancing and targeting young people and other teachers, we must collectivize against this. Push back, find your allies, continue to push for, well, just continue to push, just resist. Because silence is deadly. Raise your voice. Say it with me. Silence is deadly. Raise your voice.
Silence is deadly. Raise your voice. Silence is deadly. Raise your voice. Silence is deadly. Raise your voice.
And I think in terms of for educators, we've got to remember that over 17,500 children have been slaughtered in this genocide. For them, we need to keep going. We need to raise our voices. Next speaker is Akil, one of our most, stalwart camp people. He's going to say a little something this evening in both Arabic and English.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أنا آسف راح أتكلم أول شيء باللغة العربية وإن شاء الله حترجم شوي يعني حق للأخوة العرب يعني والمشاركين يعني يستمعون في اللغة العربية. أنا عادة ما أتحدث باللغة العربية كثيرا ولكني الحمد لله أستطيع يعني أتكلم عندما أريد أن أتكلم. أول شيء الواحد يتذكر في هذه المأساة التي نمر نحن فيها الشعب الفلسطيني منذ 100 عام أن الإنسان يعني يتذكر أن الدنيا يعني معبر لنا نحن جميعا البشر. فإحنا وضعنا في أرض يعني سبحان الله هي مباركة، ولكن سبحان الله مع هذه البركة هناك الامتحان لنا جميعا. هذه الأمة كلها يعني تعاني منذ 100 عام وهي فلسطين تحت الاحتلال كان البريطاني والآن الاحتلال الصهيوني. وإن شاء الله بإذن الله تعالى يأتي اليوم نفرح وفلسطين تحرر ونصلي في المسجد الأقصى إن شاء الله. أنا أتمنى من الأخوة العرب والمسلمين خصوصا لأنها قضيتنا الأولى نحن وأخواننا في أوروبا ولا في أمريكا ولا أي بلاد أخرى يعني في العالم هم داعمين لنا يعني في النهاية، ولكن الواجب علينا نحن العرب والمسلمين هنا في بريطانيا. واعتقد اعدادنا وصلنا 5 مليون او 6 مليون في بعض الاحصاءات يعني تقريبا، ولكن الحضور قليل يا جماعه. فكل واحد يعني يستطيع ان يكلم اصحابه واصدقائه، يكلمهم يدعوهم الى المشاركه يعني حتى لو كان يعني تقضي في الاسبوع ساعه ولا ساعتين يا اخوان. مهم جدا جدا ان نتذكر ان هذه القضيه قضية تهمنا جميعا يا أخوان. هذه قضية حرية وعدالة يعني ما نحتاج يعني نذكركم. إن شاء الله تكونوا يعني عند حسن الظن وتقدموا لإخوانكم في فلسطين أقل القديم. يعني هم يقدمون الدم ويقدمون كل شيء يعني أنتم شايفين يعني نحن عايشين هنا الحمد لله كل شيء متوفر. هناك الآن يعني الخيمة والأكل والشرب والدفء والدواء كله يعني ليس موجود. فبإذن الله تعالى يعني نسمع يعني بإذن الله تعالى كل إنسان قام بواجبه من أجل هذه البلاد أن تكون حرة. الآن سوف أتكلم باللغة الإنجليزية فاعذروني يعني إن شاء الله. I thank everyone coming tonight in this event which is as every day 449 almost day this atrocities happening live every day. But Palestinians and the whole world, the just world I say, not of course everyone will be with us. They're standing with us. And they are watching what Israel is doing. Imagine, hospitals and the health being attacked on a daily basis. No one imagines one day in life you will see, tanks surrounding a hospital, asking people to get out, and then burn some section of the hospitals. And, you know, I sometimes when you say shame, you know, is it, I mean, this word, I mean, enough for them, these people? What is shame for them? Nothing. Nothing. Anyway, it doesn't matter, you know. But people, they will understand, I mean, the value of the shame, if they feel what's shame in their dictionary. So, the standing of the Palestinian in these hospitals, you know, including these courageous doctors and nurses and the rest of who work in the health service, I could not imagine. I'm not a doctor, but when I see my sister, she's a nurse, I mean, for 35 years almost now in Kuwait. She's working, and I know how hard they work to save lives. So I thank every doctor in Palestine and every doctor here who stand up and challenging this, I mean, so-called Minister of Health, who would like, I mean, to silence everyone who support Palestine and using the Terrorism Act or other acts to frighten people, shaming him, shame. And the other things to remind you, you could, I mean, speak up as much as you could and help and support Palestinians. But you have to remember, it's not easy, you know, by the way. I'm a Palestinian since it started this, I mean, war against us in October 2023. I was imagining maybe a few months, but it looked like Israel had the chance, I mean, to destroy Gaza and get away with it, they think. But we are standing and we are resilient people, I mean, and we believe in Almighty God, which is the real savior for the Palestinian will be, and the good people with us. I thank you again, you know, every one of you, I mean. A lot of you I know, I mean, from sometimes. So please, I mean, continue your support and keep your faith. One day we will, inshallah, Palestine will be free and we will get all of you in Palestine. Thank you so much.
Just while we're standing here, I've gone onto Instagram and seen Dr. Hassan Abu Sita on Democracy Now! Saying that he estimates it's at least 300,000 is the realistic casualty figures in Gaza. USA, this is your genocide! Shame! I'd like to hand over now to Jonathan from Colombia, and he has a message for today's rally from the Colombian Medical Foundation.
Viva, viva!
Palestina!
Viva, viva!
Palestina!
Viva, viva!
Palestina!
Viva, viva!
Palestina!
So I do have a message, and this is just a short version from the Colombian Medical Federation. It says, we strongly condemn the human rights violations committed against health workers in Gaza, including the abduction and mistreatment of Dr. Hussam Abu Safia and his team. These professionals have dedicated their lives to saving others, even in extreme conditions. The Federation calls on the international community, human rights bodies, and the WHO to demand the immediate release of the medical team, the cessation of attacks on health workers, and an independent investigation. This is from the Colombian Medical Federation in solidarity with health workers in Palestine. Colombia, there is a lot of support for Palestine, including pushing the government to end relations with Israel. There is no Zionist embassy in Bogota. There is a Colombian embassy in Ramallah, but not in Tel Aviv. So there is a long history of resistance where I come from, and I explain why so many of us are in this country, etc. But I just want to add up of what our comrade said earlier on about Jimmy Carter. He deserved more than what was mentioned. Yes, he wrote a book. Yes, the Zionists castigated for him. But he lived 100 years. So his acts cover more than just a book. He was a dog of war. A dog of war, just like Obama, Bush,
Clinton, all of them, no difference. He used to support the butcher regimes of Salvador, Nicaragua, and Honduras. This guy, Jimmy Carter, dog of war, he used to sponsor death squads. That was his favorite thing. Death squads in Angola. You need that. Jimmy Carter, supporter of the dictatorship in South Korea. He had the cheek of going to Tehran and meeting the Shah of Iran, this butcher, dictator, terrorizer of the people of Iran, and praise him and say, this is an island of stability. Jimmy Carter was never our friend. Jimmy Carter was not one of us. Like nobody who's fighting in that then could be ever a friend of us. U.S. imperialism will never be on our side, no matter what kind of books they write. We will not forgive them. Even if in 10 or 20 years' time he were to decide to write a book, we will not care. We will not forgive him. Stammer, we will condemn him for his crime. Here is Stammer, you can hide. Here is Stammer, you can hide. Here is Stammer, you can hide.
Muchas gracias. So, our final speaker possibly needs no introduction, but for those who do, Tandid from Healthcare, Health Workers for Palestine, and Health Workers in Ireland. Out of this rally. Thank you guys, and thank you for inviting me here today. Free, free! One struggle, one fight! One struggle, one fight! Okay. Where is the free release, Dr. Hussam? Can you come close? All of this needs to come because we're going to send this video to the Global Healthcare Workers Group, which is going to amplify this. And we're going to do a global campaign pushing for the immediate release of Dr. Hussam Abu Sophia. Over the last 84 days, we saw our beloved colleague, Dr. Hussam Abu Sophia, director of the Kamal Adwan Hospital, give us daily updates of the deteriorating conditions and besiegement they were subjected to at the hands of the IOF. The world has witnessed the daily attempts of the destruction of the Kamal Adwan Hospital and the intimidation of staff and patients. We saw how the IOF murdered his son as an intimidation tactic for him to abandon his patients. Despite this, he still remained faithful to his oath as a doctor to persevere in the preservation of human life. The Kamal Adwan Hospital had over 400 patients and staff, many with functional impairments, amputees, bed-bound, high-dependency patients, and neonatal babies needing full life support. The IOF knew exactly who was working inside and who the patients were. They also refused to allow international humanitarian agencies to safely evacuate these patients. On a daily basis, the IOF sent quadcopters to kill patients and staff, used drones to drop bombs and destroy the hospital infrastructure with everyone still inside. IOF cut the water supply, blocked all food and medical aid from entering, and killed those who tried to leave and tried to enter. And bear in mind, very few people were able to make it to the hospital to treatment in northern Gaza. The Kamal Adwan was the last beacon of hope, the final frontier for the people, the 50,000 civilians still in Gaza. Because there are no ambulances left in northern Gaza. Only fully able-bodied individuals or those being transported by cart and donkey in primitive ways were able to make it to the hospital. And even when they got to the gates of the compound, they were still targeted and killed by the IOF. Shame! Despite COGAT and IOF statements, they had not been given deconfliction or the required assistance and equipment for safe passage to a place of safety that will preserve civilian life. In the last week, we saw Dr. Abu Sofia's plea for international intervention become more urgent. And on the 27th of December 2024, the IOF stormed and bombarded the Kamal Adwan hospital, forcing patients out, stripped naked in the freezing cold, some barefoot, and also killing patients and staff. Shame! The IOF then set fire to the departments and left, while staff were still inside. The staff tried to put the fires out, but there was no water because the IOF cut the water supply. So the staff used fluid from the dialysis bags to put out the fire. But the dialysis, this fluid contains chlorine, and their hands and face caught fire, and many of them were incinerated alive. The IOF detained hundreds of patients and staff, stripped them naked in the cold, dressed some of them up for propaganda videos for Israeli TV, and claimed some of them were Hamas. Dr. Hussam, we saw all over social media, looked bravely like a lion on his own to the IOF and asked them to safely evacuate the babies on life support. Instead, he was arrested too, stripped naked, humiliated, and severely beaten. And now they have taken him to the notorious SDE torture detention camp, where we know they are notorious for mass rapes and the murder of healthcare workers. Those who were not detained were forced to go to the Indonesian hospital, which is not functional at all, has no fuel, no food, no water, and not even any windows to protect from the freezing cold. We have responded by contacting David Lammy, Keir Starmer, and Annalise Dodds for urgent diplomatic intervention. We have sent hundreds, if not thousands, of emails to urge Israel to allow who to safely evacuate NICU babies and high dependency patients, to stop human rights abuses and attacks on healthcare and staff. Hospitals must remain protected under international law, and the destruction of the Kamal Adwan Hospital, along with all other hospitals in Gaza, is a direct violation! The UK is a signatory to the Geneva Convention and must do everything in its power to prevent and stop genocide. In November last year, we thought we witnessed the worst barbarity imaginable. The detainment, the torture, and execution of Dr. Adnan al-Bursh, and the destruction of al-Shifa. And the stories of rape, sexual abuse as a form of interrogation and torture, mass executions, mass graves, the burning of refugee tents with children inside, whole families incinerated alive, their decomposed remains everywhere. We are now witnessing history repeated. Around this time in December last year, the IOF forced medical staff out of Al Nasser Hospital at gunpoint and left neonatal babies in ITU beds attached to ventilators and feeding tubes all alone. They starved of food, oxygen, and died alone crying. Their decomposed remains were found in the exact same positions as they were left. These unimaginable state-sponsored crimes against humanity effectively greenlit the complete destruction of Gaza's healthcare system. Israel, with the funding and political impunity of the US and UK, have disseminated over 33 hospitals, killing over 1,200 health workers, with over 200 detained illegally in torture camps, and Dr. Hussam now amongst them. Israel is using the destruction of the healthcare system as a strategy of genocide. Israel doesn't want any new births. Israel doesn't want any healing. Israel doesn't want any survival. They want to ethnically cleanse the region as quickly as possible and by any means necessary. So anybody that is working to preserve human life, like a doctor or a nurse, is in fact going against their policy. And this is why to save a Palestinian life is now an arrestable criminal offense. Actually, executionable offense according to Israel. Shame! We will not stand silently and watch these crimes against humanity take place. We will not watch our colleagues continuously be slaughtered. We call on medical workers globally, on institutions, associations, unions, all those who have taken an oath to heal, protect, to prevent harm and save lives, to live up to their mandate, honor their oath, like Dr. Hussam, and speak up against this terrorism, against this genocide, against this Holocaust that is being live streamed right now in real time. Your voice is your healing power right now, and your silence is a weapon. We call on the UK government to support an immediate ceasefire agreement. We have seen that the US has vetoed over 49 resolutions in the UN for a ceasefire. Shame! We call on the UK to facilitate the opening of the humanitarian corridor. Much needed medical staff and medical aid need to reach the people of Gaza immediately. To fast-track visas for Palestinian children to receive medical treatment in the UK, like they did for Ukraine, and to impose a two-way arms embargo and sanctions on the Israeli war machine. We want boycotts, we want action!
We want boycotts, we want action!
Arms embargo, energy sanctions!
Arms embargo, energy sanctions!
We want boycotts, we want action!
We want boycotts, we want action!
Arms embargo, energy sanctions!
Arms embargo, energy sanctions!
I'm gonna say, we're gonna do one, we are the people. Two, we won't be silent. But when we say three, you're gonna say, release Dr. Hussam now, now. Release Dr. Hussam now, now. One!
We are the people! We won't be silent! Release Dr. Hussam now, now, now!
One!
We are the people! We won't be silent! Release Dr. Hussam now, 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 now!
Release Dr. Hussam 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 now, now!
Dr. Hussam now, now!
Release Dr. Hussam now, now!
That's all We're going to see what they want.